So today I'm going to talk about shaking loose, shaking off. That's what really triggered me today. Around somebody, a male, and he was talking about shaking somebody loose, that he just couldn't shake them loose, and he couldn't figure out why they would think that he would want to be their bosom buddy. And gosh, I realized he wants to shake me off, and he's been trying to shake me off for a while. And there's probably some other people that want to shake me off. Even well, shit, actually at this point, most people have shook me off. Took a lot for me to finally get the fact that it was a one-sided relationship at best, and it wasn't wanted by them. And then, that brings me into, why? Why do I do that? Or why have I done that? I don't do it anymore. I've gotten a lot better about that and making sure that my relationships are reciprocal, that they're requited, not unrequited love, and intention. I've gotten a lot better at communicating that and asking questions. But that's where it brought me to, it's not always me, because a lot of times I'm given mixed messages. Given one message, and then I find out later that they weren't speaking their truth. And I tend to believe or want to see the best in people. And so that took me to into the why again, right? Where did this start? These misplaced loyalties, these trauma bondings. Why do I think that something that isn't love is love? And that goes back to my childhood. And then if we take that back further, it goes out multi-generational. And I know for me in my lineage, there's a great deal of death of the love of their life, and then a turning around and settling for something that provided for them financially, which there's no judgment there. My female lineage stepped out as much as they could, but boy, did I come from a pretty patriarchal, religious, highly restrictive lineage. And so while they were challenging it, they could only go so far. And when you got a 2-year-old in the back, 80 years, 77 years ago, and the father dies, love is not probably your most highest priority, and man, so I think it runs in my lineage that way, but definitely in this lifetime. And one of the things that I've learned is about attachment disorder, and how birth practices can affect your attachments. And I know for me personally, I was born to a mother that was completely knocked out while she was giving birth. And all of our these Western ways of birthing are disruptive to that secure attachment. Some can, get over that because they actually have a secure attachment when they're born, even though the umbilical cord was cut too early, or even though they were circumcised, or even though because, all of those things. But I think there's still a wound there that most of us have not even begun to touch, or our society wouldn't be so sick in America. I'm speaking of particularly because that's the culture I grew up in. But for those of us that came out and then didn't have a mother that provided secure attachment, and we had narcissists in our field while we were growing up, and we became people pleasers, and we experienced abuse, and during that abuse, most of the time, I know for me, like I was told that was love, and like while getting spanked as a kid, this means I love you, and so tying this somehow within my body, within my somatic experience, that felt like love, like having to chase it, having to overdo just to get a little bit of attention, and then this whole thing of being shook off. Oh man, that takes me then to like mama, like how is she like is shaking off like fleas the ones that aren't caring for her, and it brings me to the like really like we could do a better job of caring for each other, or being clear. Like if you don't want to interact with somebody, just say that. Like that hurts less. It may like slap you in the face, but like the honesty and the truth is much better. And I feel like we could do a better job of being careful with the way we're using love, and that defining that. And along my journey, I've done a lot of exploration into what is love, and one of the simplest things that I've come up with is love makes the other's life easier, not harder. And if I've got to try to figure out and read between the lines of somebody that says, I ask them like a question, a direct question, and they say, that, oh, they'd love to do that. Like, hey, you want to go to the waters? Like, I need to go to Hana and bring the waters down there. And they go, oh, yeah, that sounds great. Like, we're going to put a group together. And, yeah, we've been wanting to do that. And, yeah, we'll call you. And then no call. And then, you see him again and you go, hey, were we going to get together? Oh, yeah. We're going to get together. And then no call. And then when, like, you call them on it, then they want to act like they had to shake you off with, like, a flea or something that you should have known, that they didn't want anything to do with you. And being authentic and being respectful of other people's emotions, and where we give other people expectations, or if we sense that they have expectations, being clear that no, that's not what I'm interested in, and really working on how do we communicate, and how do we not get where we're shaking each other off or shaking loose each other, because ultimately, like, we are interdependent, and we are impacting each other. And we're either doing that in a way that empowers or disempowers, creates conflict or cooperation. And, I know I've had to really work at ask too much. And talking to the other person about that, being able to ask that, you know, I've finally got some relationships that I can say, you know, hey, like, would you like to talk like once a week? Would that feel good to you? Or how much contact do we need? I have a lot of room in my life, and I really interact at deep levels and enjoy that, and I realize like that can be too much for some people, and perhaps it's still somebody, oh, they, you know, what fits in for them is like checking in once a month. Somebody else, it might be once a week, you know. Some people, you know, hey, if we come around again to each other, like, you know, we'll be cool. But if both people can be on the same page with that, I think that has a lot to do with communication. And, yeah. Flashing in my head right now is like, I was going into all of my delusions and I hurt my own feelings. And, but these things like show me something. It really has absolutely nothing to do with him, um, in the long run, because like, no, it does have to do with him. It does. It has to do with both of us. And because it does take two to tango to have a healthy relationship. And both people have to be equally invested for it to really be a relationship rather than a codependent nightmare. Um, and not everybody has those skills. Not everybody has as much need for companionship or bosom buddies in their lives, I realize. And it took me a long time to, I guess, realize that and come to terms with it, and to identify what real care, concern, authentic, like treasuring of being treasured. I've treasured lots of people, but to actually be treasured and to experience what it feels like to have this authentic relationship that then has your back in your time of need, and you can talk to it about anything. It's not trying to shake you loose, and it's not trying to consume you either. The cat and mouse games are not there. And when those things sneakily show up their heads, like able to have a conversation about it. And today, as soon as that happened, I was able to talk to my Kanafa about something that happened and just ask for my back to be had, and ask for what I need. And I wasn't shamed for it this time. And I was able to share my vulnerability, share that it felt raw and real, and really feel heard and honored in my expression and in my feelings around it, and feel like it will be handled, and that I can begin relaxing into that the ground under me is safe. It's not going to open up underneath me and swallow me. And even if it did, my dragon would be there. And it's not it's not up to me to do that alone. I did some inner child integration work, and one of the things that was very clear within it was that it takes more than just me, just myself, to feel safe. I can learn how to stand up for myself, and that's good and awesome all day long. But without having that community and others behind me, it just doesn't reset the amount of trauma and lack of that I've had the 50 years, because it's only in the last year, I've begun to experience really feeling supported, and that's by the masculine and the feminine. I had equal issues with both of them, and so had a lot of experiences on both sides of that coin that sucked ass. But it definitely was fuel for growth and learning and mastery. And I've just chosen to take all of it and use it for that, devotedly and dedicatedly. And for me, my very survival depends, and my way where I am and stuff like that is up to how well I relate and can harmonize and elevate environments or harmonize with them. And it's like music, and it's definitely a practice, not a one-time thing. And as you're seeing, like every day, there's something, and I ponder on it and consider it. And somebody stopped to play me music. Oh, they've got to stop because the road is real narrow here, and the cars are going back and forth. As the sun sets back here behind me, and yeah, so shaking off, and what I am shaking off is that feeling of having to chase, and all of that programming of trauma bonding, sick relating, just perversion of actual intimate relating and authentic expression. I wrote a little thing about it, and I'll post it in the comments, and I would very much appreciate, like, if y'all would share your take on this. Maybe make your own little video and post it in the comments for us to have these conversations. Yes, shaking it off and elevating our worth, what we're worth, what our attention is worth, what our focus is worth, what our care is worth. Some of us go into this stuff like really, really deeply, so I'm finding I'm having to pull out of a lot of situations that just aren't deep enough to feel like they support me. They can stay on the periphery as long as they're not critical, as long as they're not too needy or whatever, and I'll wait for a shift. But if more and more I'm being called to relate very deeply and intimately. I really, really enjoy the video chats, the corridos that I have with some of my closest companions of destiny, of the same heart, the sisters of the rose and the brothers that are truly thorns that protect the rose, defend the rose, and care for the rose, and are supporting us in rising, growing and blooming together. And I highly appreciate you if you're one of those, and I love you, even if you're not. And love means that I'd make your life easier, and sometimes that is that I just leave you alone, because you don't want to change, you don't want to see, you want to be blind, you want to just shake me off. And in that case, I'll make your life easier in loving you and leave you alone. All you got to do is tell me if you want to be left alone. Seriously. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Unless you stick around and then I find out that, like, you really didn't want to stick around, that you didn't like me. Like, that's just, like, isn't that, like, childish, like, middle school drama bullshit? Can we, like, grow up and be authentic with each other? And, yeah, so that's my take on shaking loose, shaking it off, like, and let's start being real kind to Mama in case she decides she needs to shake us off like fleas. Because without care and concern, I think she's probably gonna do the same thing I'm about to do. Shake some fleas off. They've been just sucking my blood and not assisting in feeding or caretaking. Um, so yeah, that's my contemplation today as the sun goes down. And not sure if that makes much sense, but it's what I have to say today, and it's my authentic expression. And I think the world could probably do with a little bit more authentic relating and expression and pondering and wandering. Those are good things to do. So, from Maui, aloha, aroha, much love, harmony, and peace.